Hi, let's honor everyone's time and get started. On behalf of Superintendent Hoffmeister and the Office of Federal Programs, I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar titled Title I-C ID&R Training. And we will also be talking about the Migrant Program Evaluation as well. My name is Erin Clapper, Program Specialist of the Migrant Program. This webinar recording and presentation will be posted on the Title I-C webpage under the webinar section. And a reminder that the webinar evaluation and any handouts are located in the calendar invite, as well as I'll see if Gary maybe could email or put in the chat the presentations as well. So let's get started. Here is the agenda for today that was in the calendar invite. First, we'll talk about ID&R training presentation. And then the second shorter presentation will be on Migrant Program Evaluation Checklist presentation. And both of these presentations are in reference and about the purpose of this webinar is that these are a direct correlation of answering some findings from the OSDE monitoring that occurred this summer. So we will let me see if I can slide this over. There we go. Gary, can you see the presentation? Is that good? Okay. All right, perfect. All right, so the first presentation is on the implementing the Migrant Education Program Guidance, ID&R training. And again, this is to answer a USDE finding that we received. And so let's get started. So some acronyms that everyone knows already, but ID&R, Identification Recruitment, MEP, Migrant Education Program, QAD, Qualifying Arrival Date, OSY, Out of School Youth, SEA, State Education Agency, LEA, Local Education Agency, COE, Certificate of Eligibility. Let's talk about some migrant qualifications. So the work plus the move must be doing migrant qualifying work soon after the move. Provide a comment if worker engaged in qualifying work more than 60 days after the move, or actively sought new qualifying work and has a recent history of moves for qualifying work. Again, provide a comment. Must move across school district boundaries. So basically, wherever there's a comment on the page to help know the story of the family and of the student that you're filling out the COE for, always, if you can, put a comment in on where there is one. Who is a migratory worker? Again, a migratory agricultural worker is a person who, in the preceding 36 months, made a qualifying move and, after doing so, engaged in a new temporary or seasonal employment or personal subsistence in agriculture, which may be dairy work or the initial processing of raw agriculture products. Eligibility requirements. The fact that a worker is doing qualifying work does not mean that they qualify for Title I Part C Migrant Education Program. There are other factors to be considered. Not all agricultural work qualifies. Again, asking the probing questions to get clarification on the work, and if it's temporary or seasonal, adding those things in the comments if it's applicable to help tell the story of the family or the worker. Qualifying move. A qualifying move is made due to economic necessity from one residence to another and from one school district to another school district. What is not a qualifying move? To visit family or friends, to attend a wedding or other event, to take a vacation, to have an educational or recreational experience, to take care of a legal matter. In these and similar instances, there's no change of residence and the person did not go to the place to live, but rather to visit. Let's look at qualifying work. Qualifying work means temporary employment or seasonal employment in agriculture work or fishing work. Seasonal employment occurs only during a certain period of the year. It's bound by cycles of nature, and it's not continuous or carried on throughout the year. Temporary employment, however, is available year-round and is less than 12 months. What makes a job temporary? Employer statement, worker statement, or state determination. So under the employer statement, the employer states that the worker was hired for a limited time frame not to exceed 12 months. The worker statement is that he or she states that she does not intend to remain in that employment indefinitely, or the worker's employment will not last longer than 12 months. Or at the state determination, the state is determined on some other reasonable basis that the employment will not last longer than 12 months. Time frame statement. If the qualifying work is temporary, a time frame statement must be included on the COE, whether the work was obtained or not. If the qualifying work is seasonal, no time frame statement is needed, as the work is for a limited time by definition. So again, anywhere there's a common area, it helps to, you must put in a word, a qualifying work for temporary, putting in a time frame statement in the comments area would be great. What is economic necessity? A worker moved either because he or she could not afford to stay in the current location or went to a new location in order to earn a living. A move because of loss of work or a move because of unavailability of work. A recruiter must inquire if the move was made due to economic necessity. A vacation is not a move. What does soon after a move mean? Workers must obtain or apply for qualifying work within 60 days of a move. So here's some numbers to consider: 60, 12, and 36. 60 days equals soon after the move. Worker must actively seek or obtain qualifying work within this period. 12 months equals limited on to join or limited on temporary jobs. 36 months of eligibility after the QAD. A worker remains a migratory worker 36 months after making a qualifying move and engaging in qualifying work. Migratory child. Who qualifies for the migratory education program? Children ages 0 to 21. Who is a migratory child? The child is not older than 21 years of age, and the child is entitled to a free public education through grade 12 under state law, or the child is not yet at grade level at which the LEA provides a free public education, and the child made a qualifying move in the preceding 36 months as a migratory agriculture worker or a migratory fisher, or did so with or to join a parent or guardian or spouse who is a migratory agriculture worker or a migratory fisher. And with regard to the qualifying move identified in paragraph 3 above, the child moved due to economic necessity from one residence to another residence and from one school district to another. Out of school youth, or OSY. Youth up to age 21 are entitled to a free public education in the state and who meet the definition of migratory child. Not currently enrolled in a K-12 school, students who have dropped out of school, youth who are working on a general education development credential or a GED outside of a K-12 school, youth who are here to work only, does not include children in preschool. Emancipated youth, children under the age of 22, no longer under the control of a parent or guardian, are solely responsible for their own welfare. Guardians. The department considers a guardian to be any person who stands in the place of the child's parent in loco parentis, whether by voluntarily accepting responsibility for the child's welfare or by a court order. As long as the guardian stands in the place of a child's parent and accepts responsibility for the child's welfare, a legal document establishing the guardianship is not necessary. If a working sibling acknowledges responsibility for the child's welfare and stands in the place of the child's parent, The child may be eligible based on the working sibling's qualifying employment and qualifying move. The interview, meaning the interview during the COE. There are children in the home, or is the worker under the age of 21 and does not have a high school diploma or GED? Is the qualifying temporary or seasonal work currently being done, or has it been done up in the past 36 months? Was the work obtained or application made within 60 days? Did the worker change residence and cross school district boundaries? What was the reason for the move? Was it for economic necessity? And was it to get qualifying work or any kind of work? So these are some of the questions that you'd want to ask yourself as you're conducting the interview to see if they do or do not qualify for the Title I-C program. Things you must ask the parent or guardian or OSY. When did you move to this area? Why did you move to this area? Did you move out of economic necessity? Did you need to get a job? Did you move to get qualifying work or any kind of work? Note, a worker can qualify if they answer yes to either scenario, if they indeed get the qualifying work. If they answer, I moved only to get non-qualifying work and hold to that, they do not qualify for migrant services, even if they got qualifying work. These questions are required. When did you apply for work? Remember, there's a 60-day limit on an application for work. If there's an extenuating circumstance, document it. Again, use the comment area to explain the extenuating circumstance. Completing the COE, the work information. Evaluate the type of agricultural work being done. Does it fall within the guidelines of the non-regulatory guidance? If unsure, consult with state personnel. Specifically, state the nature of the work. Use a verb and a direct object. Document the employer and place it on the COE. In a few cases, this can be difficult. Many times, if the worker is part of a harvest crew, they may not remember or even know the employer, but get what information you can, a crew leader, a place, etc. Establish the qualifying arrival date. FERPA. Recruiters should always inform parents that the information collected on the COE is confidential. Signatures. If the COE is a legal document, signatures on the COE indicate that both the interviewee and the recruiter agree that the information is both true and correct. The signatures must be secured at the time of the COE completion, so both parties can examine the information and verify its correctness. Not signing the COE or signing it after its completion and not in the presence of the other party invalidates this assurance of mutual agreement. What makes a good COE? The COE should tell a clear story that an outside reviewer can follow without undue strain. All information should be clear, all necessary questions answered. Employers' names are in place as well as timeframe statements if temporary. The move and family information is clearly documented. An independent reviewer will be able to get the same information. Suggestion, keep notes about the interview. If the COE is questioned, this information can be invaluable. Tips for interviewing. Get to the point quickly. Try to briefly establish a relationship and be friendly with the person you're interviewing. Avoid using the words migrant and federal. Remember, you must ask why the worker moved and be sure to establish economic necessity for the move. Take notes during the interview and keep them with a copy of the COE. Here's some birth verification codes that you all have there in your COE. Ethics. Do not provide an outline of how a family qualifies during the screening process. Do not put words in the interviewee's mouth. Focus on the educational and advocacy services. Do not mention free lunches, field trips, etc. Remember, we do not want to promise or guarantee anything that the family may or may not qualify for. Examining the COE and special cases. Always remember 60 days, soon after the move. 12 months, the amount of time that can lapse for a to-join situation when the worker and children move at different times. 36, the amount of time you can go back looking for qualifying work, 36 months. The certificate of eligibility. The worker moved due to economic necessity to engage in new qualifying work soon after the move. Again, provide a comment if the worker engaged more than 60 days after the move, or actively seeking qualifying work specifically if it did not obtain the work, but the worker has a recent history of moves for qualifying work. Again, provide a comment, list 2 moves, so you can document that history there. The qualifying arrival date is the date when the migratory child and the migratory worker complete a qualifying move. The residency date is the date the worker or child moved into the district where you have found them. If the work is obtained soon after the move, the QAD and the residency date will be the same. If the QAD and the residency dates differ, it's usually because the COE is for a previous move. If the family is not doing qualifying work, remember you can go back 36 months to see if there's any qualifying work. Regarding previous move, remember the COE is always written for a move that qualifies no matter when it occurred. So always concentrate first on section 3, qualifying work and move. Document the towns moved to and from, document the work done. Then complete sections 1 and 2 with the information as it pertains to where you have found them. In a previous move situation, the residency date should always be after the QAD. Only the children who made the move or documented on the move can be placed in the COE. To join, workers and children don't always move at the same time. To join, remember the QAD is the date that the worker and the children are joined, no matter who moved first. Provide a comment about the to join in the comments section. Explain the reason the children did not move with the worker. 12 months limit on to join unless there are extenuating circumstances. And again, if there's extenuating circumstances, put a comment with it. Time frame statement. Obtaining a time frame statement. Number 1, establish and build a relationship with the person being interviewed. Take some time to get to know them and don't rush. Number 2, let the person being interviewed know up front why you were there and why you were asking so many questions. And again, that it's related to the education of their child and that these things are confidential. Number 3, spend some time discussing the job the worker does. Is it physically demanding or unpleasant? Or are the work conditions difficult? Given the difficult nature of the job, ask how long they see themselves doing that job. Number 4, discuss their previous move and work history. If they typically move every 6 to 12 months, ask if this job will probably be the same. 5, as you ask how long the worker plans to be at the job, and embed timeframes in your question. For example, do you intend to work 0 to 3 months, 6 to 9 months, 10 to 12 months, or longer? In the initial part of the interview, as you explain to the worker the types of seasonal or temporary work that are considered migrant qualifying, explain that for purposes of the MEP, temporary is 12 months or less. Then ask, with no further prompting, how long they intend to be at the job. COE comments. Parent information comments. Note, if the family has a PO box that is different from the town where the worker resides. These are areas where you would want to put a comment in the parent section. Provide a description of where the family resides if not easily found by a physical address, i.e. the trailer behind the barn at the back of the farm. Note the language the family speaks and an interpreter was used. Provide additional contact information for parent or guardian if warranted. And if the phone number provided in the section is not the family's number, state to whom the number belongs. Child information comments. So here's some things to put in that area. If 2 children are born in the same year, highlight the different dates. If multiple children have the same name, state that this is indeed correct. If necessary, provide an explanation of custody issues. Qualifying move comments. If a country other than Mexico, United States, or Canada is needed on the move from section, indicate the name of that country. If the children reside in one district but attend school in another, note that fact. In a to join situation, provide a comment explaining the reason for the differing move times. If a worker is not a parent or OSY, state the relationship to the family. State the employer's name and location, provide work history if any is available. If the COE is written on intent, state the date of the application and the employer if the job is later obtained. State the date work began. Provide a statement if the COE is to update residency and allow continuance of services. Always cite the previous COE number that is being updated. Again, there's some things to put in the qualifying move comment area. If there's any need for comments in the signature area, state that the parent and worker signed on the same day. State the name of the recruiter that completed the interview. State the name of the on-site reviewer. State if the COE is for an OSY or if it's written for previous work. If there are extenuating circumstances that result in a delay in the COE submission, state the reason here. Provide a statement if someone other than the worker signed the COE. If the person signing the original COE cannot write and must sign with an X, provide the statement witnessed by blank, which would be the name of the recruiter. Okay, so on this one, let me see if I can find the chat here. Oh, Gary put in the chat for me the training that we just went over. And then is there any questions? I know for most of you, this was just a review, but we do have some new people out there at our sites, migrant sites. I want to make sure that we got all of their bases covered or started to cover with ID&R training. And I'm not seeing any questions on this part, so we will let me, oops. Here is the OSDE Migrant Education Team. Myself is there, Jose, as you know him as well. Dr. Tom Kirk, you know him as well. And then Michelle Dunn is new to the team as the Executive Director for Professional Learning and School Support. So, but as always, you can reach out to Jose and myself for any questions that you have on Title I-C migrant education or COE or data entry, those types of things. And let me end this one. And here is our second shorter PowerPoint that we needed to cover, which is going to be on the migrant education program overview. And then we'll look at the form that we're talking about in this presentation as well. Okay. Migrant program evaluation. Now, first, we're going to talk about the checklist. And again, I'm going to bring the checklist up, and also it'll be on our website as well soon. But Gary, if you could put this PowerPoint and maybe the checklist in the chat for me, that would be great. Thank you. So on the evaluation checklist, this will be done annually. The state will obtain a copy of the district recruiter's evaluation by their district supervisor, their local supervisor. Annually, the state will conduct a migrant program evaluation that includes the following sections: general, program, recruiter, and if there's any corrective action from those general, program, and recruiter areas. The state staff will schedule an interview date and time with the local migrant district director staff. The interview will either be on site or by Zoom. Again, this will be similar to what we did last winter. I think it was January, February timeframe where Jose and I individually met with you, each director and each staff, and brought technical assistance. And it'll be similar to that, where we schedule it one-on-one with you all, and probably via Zoom, and do the evaluation. This will be at the end of the year. The SDE will discuss each indicator with the migrant director or staff, and it'll at times ask to see relevant data. If there are any corrective actions, it will be noted on the report, and a copy of the report will be given to the local migrant director, and then a follow-up meeting will be scheduled to ensure the issue has been resolved. And then at the conclusion of the evaluation process, a final program evaluation checklist report will be given to the local director for the program files. So you'll get the feedback then. So here's what the form looks like. And I think it's in our chat for you guys to look at as well. And I'm going to pull it up for us now. Find. There we go. I think you can see it. Okay. So the first section is general, and there's 6 areas there and 6 indicators, if you want to call it that. This kind of looks similar to the similar but very shorter compared to the consolidated monitoring tool. But basically, the first section is general, and it's just the general overview items related to the migrant education program. That the application's been reviewed and approved by the time we do this interview with you. That the district conducts a Title I-C funded summer program. Yes, no, not applicable. The director and data clerk regularly attend professional development. The district submits fall and spring data reports to the state on time and in an approvable manner. The district submits the annual regular term and summer term FSI documents in a timely manner. And the district meets or exceeds current MPOs. And again, we've got a yes, no, not applicable, and any comments out to the far right. The second section is programmatic or program areas. And there are 6 of those. And so the first one is, where possible, the LEA partners with local community stakeholders to provide services to migrant students. So, you know, some of you have community, really strong community partners. And so we want to reflect that in your evaluation. All migrant students are administered reading and math pre and post tests to measure progress. The district uses their reading and math data to make student service decisions for such as the ones that need to be included in after school, before school, summer school, etc. The district involves parents and families to improve educational outcomes for migrant students, which include local parent action committees. The district is actively recruiting for high school and OSY. The district is aligning the Title I-C services with what is reflected as a need in the regular classroom. The last section has 7 things in it. Make sure, yeah. And that's related to the recruiter. And so the recruiter position in particular was focused in on by the OSDE. And so we needed to include some way to do this, even though we explained in writing and verbally that the recruiters, the way that it's situated right now, are direct employees of the local districts, not of the state, not a contract party or anything like that. They are, in fact, local employees. That still was a finding. So we have to address that. So this is how we came up with the solution to address that situation. So the recruiter is bilingual in Spanish and English. So some of these things align with a job description for a recruiter. Recruiter regularly uses agribusiness data and finds H-2A and OSY workers. Recruiter regularly attends national and state offered PD. The department involves parents and families the district involves parents and families to improve educational outcomes for migrant students. Recruiter regularly enrolls migrant students in the state MIS 2000 and the federal M6 databases. The recruiter regularly engages in home visits to parents to identify and recruit migrant enrollees. And then the seventh one says the state has received the most recent recruiter evaluation from the local district supervisor. So that will be an attachment that you'll send in that will go with this evaluation. If there is any corrective action issues, we'll type it out here, fill it in here. If not, we'll just check the box that it's not applicable. And then we sign and date it and give it to you for your records. If we do have to have a corrective action area filled in, then we will establish a timeline of when that needs to be addressed and follow back up with you on that corrective action item. And that way we can see that that is corrected, and we can then move you into, I hate to say the word compliance, but move you into check that the evaluation and note that on the evaluation that it has been satisfied. So let me see if there's anything in the chat. I know this is new. So this migrant program evaluation checklist will take the place of the self-evaluation document that you all have used the last 2 years. We have used that for our state evaluation. Almost all these documents are used for the state evaluation. That's what it feeds into. That's the purpose of it. But this new document that we will do with you, fill it out with you, will take the place of the self evaluation at the end of the year that you turn in. So as you can see, it's shorter than the other document, and hopefully everybody will be satisfied with this document, and it'll be better used for program improvement. So let me check the chat box and see if you have any questions about either presentation or the checklist, either one. And I don't see any questions, so. Okay. So I don't, there we go. We have one question. Martha, yes, the only document we need to attach to this route would be the recruiter evaluation, if you have it, yes. And if there's things as we go along the checklist, they're, like I said, they're in the presentation that related to the checklist, that there may be something that needs clarification, and you can share your screen and show us the document that we're referring to at the time when we're doing the interview with you. But yeah, that should be the only one in addition to the checklist that you would send to me, and I would attach it with your evaluation. So, okay. Any other questions? Okay. Well, great. Thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it. And again, if you have any questions about either presentation or the new checklist, just call or email, and we'd be glad to work with you. Thank you.